Hello there. You're my 3 o'clock appointment, correct? Excellent. Thank you for arriving somewhat on time. You're only 2 hours late. So, you're here to take your personality test, correct? This is to determine if you're a narcissist or not. What brings you into my office with such a request? Oh, I see. So you've been calling everyone a narcissist lately? Okay, and now you're just a little bit curious to see if perhaps you're maybe a narcissist too. That's kind of what happens when you start throwing terms around. You start to have that be your new reality, and you start to wonder, is that also me? So, let's get a couple of misconceptions out of the way. Someone who is defined or identified as being narcissistic is not someone who possesses a high self-esteem. It is not someone who is perhaps more avoidantly attached. These are just healthy characteristics minus the avoidantly attached. That might be just kind of like an attachment style that's not everyone's favorite. Certainly is not my favorite. Now, we're just going to get a couple of other details out of the way as to what is not considered a narcissist. Just so that way you and I are both clear and don't confuse it with anything more common. This often is a mistake many people make because they're just a little bit confused. So, other things that being a narcissist is not is having a high sense of social confidence. So someone who is engaging and extroverted, someone who gets along well with others is not narcissistic. Or that characteristic itself does not define a narcissist. Someone who is being assertive with their boundaries or being firm is also not someone who is considered narcissistic. Once again, this can be quite a healthy trait to have. Someone who is proud of their real life accomplishments is also someone who is not narcissistic. Someone who takes care of their physical appearance, whether that be working out or applying makeup, is not necessarily someone who is narcissistic. Someone who enjoys competition, someone who is highly athletic, someone who enjoys winning games, is not necessarily someone narcissistic. This is, once again, another healthy trait. And someone who dislikes you, rubs you the wrong way, disagrees with you, is also not narcissistic. This is just a common social issue that people have, intrapersonal occasion or event. So, with all of that out of the way, the symptoms that we do see manifesting within people who are identified with narcissistic personality disorder are people who tend to have a high sense of self-importance. They oftentimes are the type of people where others can say that they feel they're walking on eggshells around. This is something that they might carry themselves as being perhaps the main character of the room, the main character syndrome. The next quality that could be kind of narcissistic is someone who feels like there's something intrinsically special to them, something intrinsically unique. Granted, of course, everyone has their own individuality, but these people tend to take it a little too far, thinking that they are a special little cookie. These people will tend to feel like they're more special than the average person. The next quality that could define someone who is very narcissistic is someone who has fantasies of what seems to be moral perfection or moral superiority or lack thereof. Someone who envisions a utopia according to their own vices and virtues, or someone who seeks to have the entire world ordered according to their own sense of interpretation. The next quality that could define a narcissist is someone who is in constant need for praise. The idea that someone might disagree with you or someone might rub you the wrong way, that is something that will perhaps trigger a narcissist. And because they constantly need praise, so this is clearly someone that they cannot derive praise nor attention from. So they naturally will be very annoyed by this person and try to condemn them. They need people who are constantly going to flatter their ego. If their ego is not constantly flattered with cheap compliments, then they're going to feel depleted. The next symptom of narcissistic disorder is someone who has a strong sense of entitlement. So when they walk into the room, they expect you to conform to their rules, their worldview, their ideas. Otherwise, they're going to shut down and remove themselves, or they're going to try and not necessarily challenge your ideas, but rather eviscerate you as a person for disagreeing with them. The next quality of someone who has narcissistic personality disorder is someone who lacks empathy. I'm not talking about faux empathy, the type of empathy that is this sort of fake flattery. I'm talking someone where if they do rub you the wrong way, they wish absolute worst outcomes upon you through false compassion. They will wish your end, your demise, some misfortune upon you, all because you didn't adjust to their worldview, all because you didn't conform to their wants. This is the definition of a lack of empathy. They also will be very distrustful. They will not trust anyone around them because they operate in a very insecure way, hence why having a high sense of confidence does not equate to narcissism. In fact, having a low self-esteem is more closely correlated with narcissism. And they tend to envy those around them, whether it's their material goods, their lifestyle, their stability, you name it. They also tend to be very scornful people, very sassy people. They tend to be very arrogant. They think themselves higher than others. And finally, they have a pattern of manipulating others. This is commonly emotionally and psychologically manipulation, but it can also be physical once they have someone trapped within their false sense of trust. This is oftentimes their end goal, where they will open up a false sense of flattery to welcome you in, shut you away from those that are trustworthy people, basically trying to condemn them because they feel threatened by them. And once you're in their clutches, then they begin their targeted nastiness. So, with that out of the way, I'm going to ask you a few questions just to determine if you are narcissistic or not. Are you ready? Okay. So, once again, narcissists are constantly craving attention and admiration. Narcissistic individuals believe they are superior to others. While self-esteem and confidence are healthy, severe narcissism may tip into a personality disorder. Typically, these are people who, once again, are highly self-obsessed. They are people who navel gaze. They are people who think that their entire thought, feeling, and self-image is basically their religion. Their religion is themselves. So it's not to be mistaken with confidence. Confidence is having a sense of control around your environment. A narcissist automatically wants to seek control over their environment, but that in itself means they're not in control. So let's see where you fall. First question. From a scale of strongly disagree to strongly agree, with neutral being an option, do you often fantasize about having unlimited success, power, or beauty? Okay. Interesting. No judgment. This is merely just to gauge where exactly you are. when it comes to this question. Some people who are having like a low self-esteem or who are more insecure can have this fantasy of what it would be like to be worshipped and basically have this Hollywood celebrity status. That's why a lot of theater arts kids tend to be a little bit insufferable and have that reputation. The theater arts themselves are a wonderful medium for art, but a lot of the people that they attract, the personalities that they attract, are oftentimes people with no self-esteem who are seeking, once again, grandiosity, which rubs a lot of people the wrong way because they can tell what they're doing. So having this fantasy be a constant thought in you without any evaluation or consideration for maybe more meaningful pursuits is not necessarily healthy. Number 2, I deserve to be treated with the utmost respect and deference regardless of the circumstances. Do you oftentimes find yourself saying that you deserve respect just because you're a human being, even though you're asking for respect for things that you're being very rude about? Yeah. Do you think respect is basically people having to agree with you and never disagree with you, even though there's valid complaints and criticism? Those are all qualities and traits of someone who is a bit on the narcissistic side. But I'm glad that you disagree with that. Respect is earned. That is oftentimes something that people forget. Respect is earned. It's not automatically granted. Politeness, courteousness is what you extend to a stranger. Just a sense of mannerliness, but not respect. Respect is something that you give someone who has gained your admiration. Someone who automatically demands your admiration is not well adjusted. Number 3, I cannot stand it if another person is the center of attention. This could take on the form of you resenting someone who is getting attention, or it could take the form of you seeking or performing attention-seeking acts to get attention away from someone else. Okay. Good. Number 4, I don't know if I'd make a good leader. Okay. Very healthy answer. Typically people who are very self-assured that they would make a fantastic or great or wonderful leader, that they should be at the forefront of any movement. Typically these are people who have no idea what they're getting themselves into and then will disregard accountability or responsibility for those that they've led astray. These are people who tend to mistake being an avid follower with being a leader. Number 5, I get angry when I don't get what I want from others. This could be them basically giving you talking points that you like, affirming whatever it is that you seek. This could be material objects, obviously. It could be praise. Okay. I get annoyed if another person tells me I get annoyed if another person steals the show from me. Okay. You could take that question in a couple of ways. Someone who, of course, is behaving improperly for the sake of getting attention and then interrupts you would, of course, bother anyone. But it depends on how you get annoyed. Are you annoyed because you've been interrupted and it shows poor manners? Or are you getting annoyed because the attention is no longer on you and now you feel like you're in competition with this person? Okay, interesting. The latter reflects a sense of social awareness. The former reflects a true motive. Number 7, it's hard to show my vulnerabilities to others. Okay. Showing vulnerabilities is oftentimes something you reserve for an inner circle. But do you find like you have an inner circle that you can be vulnerable with? Okay. Very good. It's very important to have an inner circle. That's how you gauge your behavior, you get feedback, it grounds you. Granted, your inner circle also has to be composed of healthy, well-adjusted people. If it's composed of people who are, once again, attention-seeking or fake, where you could tell that they're just sort of not being genuine or sincere in their conversations with you, but instead they get awkward when anything vulnerable is brought up, then you can kind of rest assured that you need to find a new inner circle. But typically, having the capacity to be vulnerable with people who have earned your trust is a healthy sign of you not necessarily having to keep up a facade 24/7. But if you had to keep up a facade 24/7, even with your own circle, where you're constantly self-conscious about your image or whatever, that is not healthy. Number 8, I like to show off. Okay, interesting. Number 9, I have a lot to learn from other people. Okay, excellent. Number 10, I'm not satisfied until I get everything I deserve. Okay. It's one thing to have ambition. It's another thing to be ungrateful. Ambition can motivate you to earn that which you like or want. But being ungrateful means that when you do get something, you feel like it's still short of what you deserve and you feel resentment over it. There are people who exist that way, and it is very unpleasant to be around them. Okay, that's the difference. Don't mistake it for ambition. Number 11, I take pleasure in the failure of my rivals. Okay, interesting. Number 12, I expect special treatment from others. Do you expect people to go out of their way to affirm you, validate you, give you attention, make you feel like you're in a safe environment, even though it's like, are you in a war zone? No. Do you feel like you basically have to constantly be attended to, otherwise you'll start to get insecure and feel like everyone is against you? Okay. Number 13, I start to feel badly about myself when I go unnoticed. Yeah, that's a very annoying quality. Very annoying quality. Typically, that's not something pleasant to be around. If I'm around someone who constantly seems like if 2 minutes have passed and no one's paid them attention and they start to almost seem like they're on the verge of laughing and crying, it's very unpleasant. Number 14, I think I'll be famous someday. Okay. Number 15, all I want is to be reasonably happy. Okay, that's a healthy sentiment. Number 16, I find it easy to manipulate people. Okay. Number 17, I tend to disregard the feelings and needs of others. Okay. This definitely can take form, not in this ideological concept that you take other people's feelings seriously, the whole good vibes mantra. That's nonsense. It's absolutely fake. What it really means is that when you're in company with other people, regardless of difference of opinions, regardless of difference of feelings, regardless of difference of interpretations, the way you perceive the world, you have the social awareness and the empathy necessary to assess their points of view from their heads and understand the positive ideas that they're trying to project forward. If you can't put yourself in their shoes and you expect them to put themselves in your shoes, otherwise they're evil, you're lacking in understanding, comprehending, or caring about the feelings of others. That's the true definition of it. Number 18, Having authority over others is important to me. This could mean the idea of you having to educate people. This could mean you having the idea that you have to guide people. You have to, this sort of like benevolent control. Okay. Number 19. When others get a sense of my true needs, I feel anxious and ashamed. Interesting. So, for example, if someone reaches what it is, that the true remedy, the true answer, true solution to your problems, you get annoyed, anxious, triggered, angry, sad, you name it, hysterical at that person, despite the fact that they are trying to actively help you. But instead, what you want is attention, validation, and affirmation that you're just perfect. Okay. Number 20. If I ruled the world, it would be a better place. Okay. All right. Let's see your score. Oh, very nice. You scored a 34. So you are in the low range. So you have a healthy, well-adjusted sense of things around you. You have kind of like a common average interpretation of the world. So nothing to get nervous about, nothing to fear. I would say if anyone makes you feel like you're walking on eggshells and you're understanding the way that they're thinking, you get the way that they're thinking, you're giving them the benefit of the doubt, you're giving them a lot of charity, a lot of generosity, you're basically, X, Y, and Z, then at best it's best to find new friends that don't necessarily so strongly disagree with you, or a new circle that doesn't necessarily so strongly disagree with you, or assess that perhaps they've been projecting their own lack of consideration onto you and making it seem like you're inconsiderate. Do you see what I'm saying? Either way, perhaps test the waters with a new group of people and see if they reach the same conclusion your current circle has, and if they don't, then enjoy their company. They're probably better suited for you anyways. Okay? Alrighty, in that case, I hope you take care, and